Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. It's Radio Free Wall Street. It's 5 o'clock New York time every day, and I love it. And today we're going to talk about the unemployment report. In market news and commentary, we covered quite extensively the trade war. And you need to understand, this trade war is no little deal. And these things last years. America hasn't experienced one in 70 years, okay? So it's something that Wall Street does not understand. It's under something the media doesn't have a handle on, how severe they get, how they blow out of control. Listen to me. Donald Trump is not going to back down, okay? He's not the smartest guy in the room, but he is the nastiest and the meanest. And he is not going to give in. On the other hand, this is not a trade war between the United States and China. This is between who gets Europe, who gets the rest of Asia, who gets India. And that's what this is all about. So if you get a chance and you haven't heard the broadcast, go to Market News and Commentary and I'll explain it to you. But now this is about the unemployment report. Another great unemployment report, we're told, right? Well, not hardly. See, the problem you got is that the numbers have been swayed by the trade war. What's going on here? Well, companies have got to get the products out, loaded, and into the marketplace before the trade sanctions go in. So they've been doing that during this last period of time. And now what's happened is we are going to see in the next report the sad story that this is a job-killing deal. You know how Donald Trump wants to make America great again? And he believes by a trade war, the jobs that they stole, he's going to get back. Well, what Donald Trump doesn't tell you is that we're losing jobs. In fact, Challenger Gray, which does a lot of layoff reports, has now added a category to the survey, and that's jobs lost due to the trade war. So we got a situation that Donald Trump got himself another record, and you got a situation where we've got a lot of people working in very low-paying jobs. We have a lot of people who've been forced back into the workforce because we have lost the black workers. Those are undocumented people from Mexico who are having a hard time getting to America. And the problem is that the number of unemployed Americans on the U6 increased. I can't believe I'm reading this. Unemployed Americans, which includes people who are not actively looking for jobs, increased by 500,000 people. The unemployment rate went from 3.8 to 4.0. So listen, you got a situation who are seeing these ugly signs into the future. Listen to me carefully. We have 62.9% of the population that is in the employment numbers, okay? And the labor force participation rate is still extremely high. And the reason why it's high is because there are a lot of people who are leaving the workforce. So that means that when you have a lower participation rate, you have a lower gross GDP, you have lower tax revenues, and you have bigger federal outlays because if they're not working, well, they're collecting welfare or they're getting benefits from the government because they're unable to work, disabled. And the stagnant rate of workforce participation is a real problem. And what you've got going on here is a situation where it's as good as it gets. Now the ugliness kicks in. Now the companies that are losing their overseas orders will start laying people off. We are now going to see a situation where, if you can't sell it to China, you can't sell it to Europe, there's no need to make it. And if you aren't making it, well, there's no need to hire people. So we are now in the twilight zone. Oh, my God. It's scary. The trade wars and their coming impact will be felt around the country, and that will start another month. Now, do not make the mistake of believing this trade war is a temporary event. If you're in business, you better look very carefully on how this affects you, your supplies, and your customers. And this is a situation where a lot of people are going to be shocked, okay? Because motor vehicles are going to start getting hit in parts. And we've had 285,000 manufacturing jobs added over the past year. And the problem is that that is about to reverse. And when that does, you're going to wake up to a bold new world where things are a lot different than they are right now. So at some point, the price will be paid. We are in a trade war. They are associated with depressions. They are associated with confrontation among governments. They are associated with poor people making less money. And at some point, you're going to have to realize that we have turned the corner, and we don't know where this goes. In other words, we are now in mystery land. We are now in uncharted territory. And these kind of events end up getting very ugly very, very quickly. The situation you have is the unemployment report has been masked by the fact that a lot of undocumented workers have not been able to take jobs, and that means it's forced employers to dig deep down the labor pool. You know, you heard a lot about the fact that there's a shortage of truckers, over-the-road guys. Do you know why? Well, most states have put in requirements that these people get drug tested, okay? Because it was discovered and not really publicized in the insurance companies that a whole lot of really bad wrecks were on strung out, doped up, whizzed out, stoned out of their mind truckers. So the industry was forced to clean up. Well, what happened? Well, a whole lot of people who would normally be driving a truck right now are banned. And that's what's creating a shortage. So it's not a situation where it's happy land by any stretch of the imagination. It's a situation where there's a fluke in the numbers. And a whole lot of people don't understand that. A whole lot of people are sitting here thinking that we're in some kind of dream economy, and we are not. We are headed for a recession that will end up being a depression. We're going to end up in a situation where we are going to see some ugly times coming, and I really, really want you prepared for it. This trade war that Trump has started will spill over very soon into Europe. And from there, it will be Katie bar the door as people lose jobs, as businesses close down, as we lose market share, as money stops flowing into the United States. It's really stupid to throw away your economy and to throw away your exports without doing the calculations and the numbers of exactly what you're losing. And the problem is that under the Trump, we don't. I've been preparing for this all my life, and I don't have to get prepared. Jumping to conclusions that are wrong, the price will be paid by many, many people. So you have now just left the best series of unemployment reports we're ever going to have, and they're really not that good. Well, you have just left a situation where we are now not in control of our destiny. Businesses are not out there competing for customers or for sales. They are being prohibited by governments from getting into marketplaces. And the situation we have is that the strength in the economy has been mislaid because, like I said to you, you understand that businesses have been blowing merchandise out the door as fast as they can to get them through the ports before the tariffs hit. And this trade war will disrupt the supply chain. It will kill business investment. It will raise price for consumers. And that $1.5 trillion tax cut you got, the tax rate bonanza for billionaires, that's gone. That's evaporated. And this is a situation where more and more people start to be hurt. And as that grows and gets uglier and uglier, you're going to see a big downturn in this economy. So let's salute the unemployment report, the last good one to come down the road. Let's prepare ourselves that the economy is just taking a turn into the twilight zone of trade wars. Look, if you're not trading, you're not making. If you're not making, you're not selling. If you can't sell and you can't compete it, then you're shutting things down. And remember, that moves up the supply chain. What the analysis of these trade situations and certificates of origins are, they don't calculate exactly where all this stuff comes from, right? So if you're celebrating this thing, the reality is that the real unemployment rate, known as the U6, which takes into calculation people who want to work but have given up looking for work, those working part-time that want full-time jobs because they can't find it, rose to 7.8%. So that's the real unemployment rate, and it's pretty much at a high. So we are not really seeing a real rebound in the worker part of the economy. And if you understand that, then you understand that are going ugly. So by the way, I'm going to warn you again. The second quarter GDP estimates will be coming out, and they're going to show a 4+%, 4.5, 4.7 growth rate. That will be the sugar high. And again, a lot of that's reflected. By the way, a lot of these numbers are being skewed by people trying to bang things out the door, okay, before the trade sanctions take in effect. And when they bite, this is going to be really ugly. Okay, so we are in the twilight zone. Oh my God, Donald Trump, what did you do to us? And the tariffs are going to kick in. And let me say this to you. We haven't been down this road before. The last time was a much different economy, okay? And that was during the Great Depression, by the way. And in fact, that led up to it. And now a lot of people blame that for increasing the depth of it. Guess what? It's played against Sam. We're doing the same thing. But now the supply chains are much more complicated. Export markets for multinational corporations are a much bigger part of their profit picture. And we're now in a situation where we don't know what this trade situation is going to do. Guess what? We haven't even yet defined what goods are going to be sanctioned. We know the number of products keeps expanding. Now, there's another side of this trade war that they're not talking about. By the way, it's already the biggest trade war we've ever seen in the history of the planet. Just thought you should know that. And it's growing and growing and growing. But there's another situation here, and that is China is smart enough to use its currency in this trade war. China is smart enough to have court cases against American companies. And all of a sudden, people are going, where does this end? And here's the truth. Nobody knows. People are trying to find protection in this thing, and the problem is we don't know where the hurricane's going to land. We don't really know how far this goes, okay? For example, U.S. soybean exports surged last quarter. And the reason why was that they're trying to pump as much soybeans out of the country and into especially China they could, okay? Now, the situation is China has already shifted much of its soybean sourcing to Brazil. And that means that although the value of soybean exports doubled in May from April to $4.14 billion, the problem is that now that's being cut off. So that's recorded as a good number. That is something that people are celebrating. That will reflect in the GDP report. But you know what's not reflected? The fact it was a fluke. It was based on getting ahead of sanctions. And a full-scale trade fight between the U.S. and the U.S. and I might also add Europe and Canada and Mexico has just begun. And this is probably the biggest tragedy America has seen in trade ever. And this will spin out of control. This will be a job killer. This will bury businesses. This will increase bankruptcy. Look, you got a business. He's got great contracts. He's running a smart operation. He's got export markets that are stronger and stronger. All of a sudden, he wakes up one day and a 25% duty's been thrown on, a tariff's been thrown on his products. He's lost his customer. He has lost his export base, and he's got nowhere else to go. What does that mean? Well, guys, that means that in the blink of an eye, you are going to wake up one day and see huge sectors of the economy tumbling down. You're going to see a stock market that is not pricing this in yet. I'm going to repeat over and over again. No one knows where this trade war is going. This list of sanctions keeps growing by the day. Companies are pulling in. Some companies, like the automobile manufacturers, have warned that it's going to cost a lot of jobs to make them much smaller companies. No one is paying attention here. No one understands the ugliness that's right around the corner. This is going to strike like a bolt of lightning out of a clear blue sky. This will devastate the economy. This will throw us in a recession. And the problem is, I don't know that anybody's really looking at this. I don't know that Donald Trump understands where he's going with this. I don't know that any of us can predict how this really shakes out, except that it's going to be ugly. My problem is, I don't know who it's going to kill. You know, whose ox is going to gore? I can't tell you. I absolutely can't tell you. We're spending a lot of time looking at this thing. We're trying to calculate where this is going. And the reality is that it's political. In other words, our trade people, our counterparties in the trade war, they are carefully selecting industries that represent the voting base for Donald Trump. What do you like that? Now, is that not interfering in elections? There's no collusion, no collusion? What are you talking about? You got Russia and Europe in a trade war with the United States and now China, who are picking sectors of the economy like the Iowa pork farmer, the grain farmers, that represent Donald Trump's Midwest base. How do you like that shit? Okay? That is really, really some nasty crap, and it gets growing and growing and growing. You don't know where this is going to go, my friends. You are in a trade war, and you know what? It's not being priced. It's not being talked about. Contingency plans are not being made. You know, this is one of those things that's going to strike people with surprise. Shock and awe is a good term. And I got to tell you, it is incredible that Donald Trump, you heard about a two-front war? We're fighting with everybody. We have got the whole world now about to align against the United States on trade. You got everyone and their dog that is hunting us down, okay? And now you are forming strange alliances against America. It's playing right into China's dream situation. And at some point, you're going to wake up, and we're all going to be sorry about this. Now, for Donald Trump, it's all about the election, okay? It's all about the headline. It's all about showing that he's the man and he's tough and he ain't put up with his trade bullshit anymore. That's really nice. And I wish that simplistic analysis would work, but it won't. I wish that his idea that our enemies will back down immediately when they see they lose the U.S. market is not there. They understand what they're doing, okay? They are grid for a war. I think, I'll tell you what I think it is. I think from a foreign perspective, they regard Donald Trump as a really nasty fluke kind of president. And their belief is rather than fighting a trade war, which is very clever, just get his ass thrown out. They all know he's got an investigation on collusion. They all know there's a special prosecutor there. They all understand the political map. And if they put enough heat on Donald Trump's constituencies where they're hurting by the time election comes along, he's going to lose their support. He loses their support. They don't vote for him. The Democrats sweep the House and Senate. That's what's at stake here. Do you realize how big this is going to be? In other words, we are just in the beginning of July. July, August, September, October. You got 4 months for trade sanctions to start kicking in. And when they do, oh my God, look out below. I am warning you that this is something that's not been calculated in the market. It has not been calculated in a political narrative. I don't think it's really understood. And when people scratch their ass to understand how bad this is going to be a disaster. This is going to change the way global economies operate and trade. This is going to change tax flows, currency values. And in America, well, what's little left of manufacturing is going to dry up and blow away and exist no more. So at some point, somebody's got to tell you the truth. At some point, somebody's got to say, listen, this is not a little tit for tat and it's no big deal. This is an enormous situation. This is something mankind is not prepared for. Do you understand the biggest trade war ever? Do you understand the biggest blockage of imports and exports that ever hit the planet? This is the stuff that happens during wars. And because global trade is so big, and because it's so important, it is now a big deal. There is no economy isolated from the rest of the world. All economies rely upon exports of things you wouldn't even realize that they don't make and don't have and can't source. So all I can tell you is enjoy the last good unemployment report, enjoy the last great GDP report, and then we come to, as they like to say in Arkansas, the nut cutting. And this is going to be really ugly. By the way, I was hoping against hope that this trade war would not continue. I was hoping against hope it would be avoided. And I was hoping that they would do a few little ditties and then back down. This is not the way this is going. People are getting more polarized. They're getting angrier. They are pushing harder. This is going to be a big ship. It's not priced in the market. It's not part of the political understanding. It's certainly not understood by the mass of people in America. And when this hits, all I can say is may God help us all, because you do not know how things are going to spin out of control. But spin out of control is what we're headed for. So stock market, bye-bye. Corporate debt, blow up. Dollar will soar in value, and that is not good. That will cripple U.S. exporters. So, my friends, we done got ourselves in some deep shit here and some real ugliness about the market. And let me tell you, as you know, being a student of this for a long time, it's the shit that surprises markets they didn't plan for that shatters economies. No one is pricing this in. I've been going everywhere on this thing. It is not in the narrative. It is not in the pricing. It is not understood. And all I can say to you is God help us all, because Donald Trump, he done did it this time. He done got us in some really nasty shit, and we're not going to get out of this.
Broad-based rally on Friday. The addition of 213,000 on the payrolls offset concerns from a trade war between...
Yep, it offset the trade war. Nice little rally on Wall Street. That shit won't last much longer. I'm telling you, we're taking a walk on the dark side. We are moving into uncharted territory. And you know what the hell it is? They don't understand it. They're not pricing it in. I've never seen a market sleepwalking past disaster like what you're seeing now. You have been warned. I beg you to trade it. I beg you to take advantage of it. This represents great danger and great opportunity. It's up to you to sort it out.